Hey everyone, Linda Reed-Enever, and welcome to the first of the Ask Linda live series, because I decided to twist up the Ask Linda series that we run on YouTube, which there are more there as well, to a Facebook live session, and we repurpose a few of them to YouTube as well. Now, these series are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a response to questions I see pop up, information that you have out on the web, or topics that I see popping around BBB. So I am literally just going to give you a couple of minutes to come on in and find me, because this is the first one. And we will have a chat from there. I'm also going to share this particular Ask Linda video to the DIY Entrepreneurs video group people, because they were asking, hey Beck, how are you? Asking this question in the group, and this is where the Ask Linda videos come from today, is how do I cope with multiple businesses? How do I put the boundaries and work hours, and how do the things all come together? So that's what I want to share with you today. I just want to be transparent and honest and share it. If you think there is someone that you know that would really benefit from this, please feel free to get in there and share some information with them, share the thread with them, and share the opportunity to be able to get out there. I'm literally just trying to get enough reception on my phone to do this. It doesn't seem to want to play. So, okay, we will just go, yeah, it's all good. I can share it off to the group later on. So come on in and join me. As I said, this is a change up on the Ask Linda series. We do run an Ask Linda series on YouTube, and they are a little bit of pre-records for some questions I've been answered, and we'll still keep that going. But I decided to bring in some Ask Linda live options as well. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, it will come in and we'll have a bit of topic on that one as well. I have got a coffee. I don't know if I can show you guys. My coffee became very patriotic. No, I can't. It decided to make an Australia in itself before I got on here for this session today. So just going to have a sip of coffee. Yes, when how does one juggle one's project? Becca's just asked a question. How does one juggle the multiple things? Okay, so let's get started on this one. And I just realized I put the mic all the way down there. Hopefully the sound's better now, guys. I just took the wrong earpiece up. Okay, let's get started on this one. First of all, when it comes to business and multiple businesses and all of the stuff that I share with you today, there does not mean, okay, that there are not weeks where things go crazy, they go hectic, or I take on a large project that requires me to bend these rules that I have. But not having the rules in the first place is what sees you start to hit the burnout point. And I know it because I've been there and I've done that. So this is why I want to have this conversation with you today, and I want to share with you some of the boundary stuff and some of the stuff that you've actually just got to ignore when you're running businesses for yourself or you're working from home. Okay, the first thing is that's really, really key about working from home and boundaries is set yourself some work hours. Now, I know that can be easier said than done. And I know sometimes you are going to need to flex out of them. But those work hours are really, really important for a number of reasons. And the first reason that the work hours are really important is it gives you a set hour of work hours to adhere yourself to go into work mode. The other thing is it's really important to set work hours for the fact that you can then tell your family and friends that, no, these are my work hours and I'm not available to talk to you during this particular time. And it allows you to set up that physical boundary of this is when I'm available and this is when I'm working. And if you don't set up those boundaries for both yourself and your family and friends to know when work is happening, then you do become the person that can just stop in because, you know, they're working from home from coffee. So you do need to set those boundaries. Once you set those hours, you do need to be tough on them. Okay, that is the next thing. You do need to say to people, look, this is my work time. Just like if I was at the office, this is my work hours. If you come back after lunch or you come back after school pickup, in my case, quite often, then I can touch base with you then. Obviously, you don't want to be the friend who pushes everyone away, but you also don't want to be the friend that everyone just drops on because you work from home, because they wouldn't drop into your workplace to come and see you and have, you know, just a general conversation. So making sure that you are keeping those boundaries really clear about when work time is and when family time is, because it really is the foundation to making sure that you can do more within your day. The next thing is when those work hours are, do not look at the dishes, do not look at the washing, do not look at the extra requirements. Create And I'll talk about this in a minute about creating a space for your work, because you see that I've got a space and I actually have a room, and I'm lucky enough to have a room for working. But create an absolute space. Create the time that you know you're working. So you can't walk to the kitchen and see that there's a pile of 200 dishes that need washing. You can't just throw on a load of washing and hang it out because you're at home and you're working from home. You've got to treat work hours just the same as if you went to a work office. And almost treat yourself as an employee. Treat yourself as if you're working for a boss, and what would they expect of you over those period of time that you are in the work mode, okay? So that's really, really important, that during those work hours you are in work mode. For some of us, it's really easy to blur the lines about working from home and all of those sorts of things. For me, I like still to dress for work. So I still tend to put on a little bit of makeup, won't put on heaps of makeup every day, put on a little bit of makeup, wear some things. And if I'm really feeling flat, high heels. I will put on my high heels, remind myself of my corporate days, and it's amazing how much more I get done when I'm walking around my home office and the house in a pair of heels. But dressing for work subconsciously puts the mind into that right space of workspace. So, you know, maybe have a work uniform for during the week, or have some clothes that are just work clothes, and then you've got casual and me time clothes as well. And in saying that, I used to be the person who'd come home and get changed out of my suit every week. As I finish every night after I finish work. So do that too. Make sure that you are giving yourself that boundary and break, that you actually break the workload when you come into it. Now, for me, I'm a mum. I have a daughter who goes to school, who most of you know, and one of the ways that I actually break up my work day, and I know it sounds really, really simple, is I park in a different spot when I come in through a different door when I drop her at school. So my work hours, my work hours are most probably between 8 and 5. Or 8 and 4, because my brain tends to switch off about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and not be that effective. But my work and my client contact hours are between 9:30 and 3 o'clock. So for me, I park in a different spot, so that when I walk in the house and I don't walk through the same door that I walked out of in the morning, my mind's already going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm in work mode for that component of the day. So work mode already kicks in that way for me. The other thing that I tend to do is I tend to, you know, just feel like if I need a break, or my head's going a little bit crazy, I will go and get a coffee. So I'll go and buy a coffee from a coffee shop, because that's one of those things I used to do when I was at work. You know, I used to get a coffee on the way to work. So some mornings I just need to go and get a coffee and bring it back to the office with me, and change that mindset, so that I go from being the mum who's just done the crazy school drop off and everything to the business owner, to the person who has gone to work. So they're the things about setting those work hours. Make sure that you are setting them, you're working to them. And then, yeah, obviously at the end of the day, when I come home, I park the car in a different spot again, and I walk through the door. That means that I'm home rather than I'm at work. So hopefully those little tips on how do I manage those work hours. School hours have made me work a lot quicker and a lot more designated to my time, because my time with my daughter is a little bit more precious than when, well, it is more precious. It's precious, you know, it's more limited than when I had her at daycare or those sorts of things for a couple of days a week, and I could just go and pick her up when I wanted to, and do, you know, be a bit more flexible. But school hours have made me a little bit more boundary orientated and deadline orientated. So there you go. There is some components about the hours. Does it mean I stick to them? No. You know, there's been weeks like when we run the Small Business Skills Summit right now where I have not stuck to them. I've had to do longer hours, or I've had to do shorter hours because there's been some mum stuff pop up. But, you know, that's life, guys. You know, reality of it is working in employing a relationship or working in a face-to-face relationship, you would hit the same situation. So I do try and keep those work hours between 9 and 3. I don't work well at night. Absolutely last thing that I'd like to do. I'd much rather be up early in the morning than working at night. So if you see me anywhere late, it'll be definitely morning based. I'm just going to take a sip of water, and then I'll go into a little bit more about multiple businesses, and then once again creating that boundary. So one of the other things, actually, go to boundaries first, and then I'll talk about multiple businesses. Boundaries wise, the reality of it is, guys, we need to set those work hours so that we can turn around and say to people, we are. But we also need to create a space for work. Now, if you're lucky enough to be like me, you've got an office, you've got a space, you're able to put a door on it, and you're able to walk away from work. And I do strongly suggest you shut that door and you walk away from it. And if you happen to be working when all the family's around and everything's happening, then try and shut that door so that you go into work mode too, and you are not being distracted from multiple things if you can. I know that sometimes you can't. do that. But having that space to go to work is key to your mindset, because once again, just like getting dressed for work, you go into that boundary, or you go into the, this is where I'm feeling like I'm work orientated, and I'm, sitting down at my desk, and it's hopefully not so messy. I've got stuff packed behind me. You can see mess happening behind me over here at the moment because I'm packing to go away. But this is my space to be work orientated. And if you've got to be in the lounge room, or you've got to be somewhere else like that, then make sure you're shutting your laptop at night, or have a curtain or a piece of material that you can put over your workspace, so that once you stop work hours, there's a physical barrier between you and that workspace that you actually have to open to re-enter that workspace. And you'll be surprised how much that stops you from going back into that work mode. And just as important as your work time is your family time. And and quite often it's more important. Your family and your partner time is equally as important, and your friends time. So you make sure that you are present in both of them. And that is the next thing. As I said to you before, you don't want family and friends dropping in. You don't want work dropping into family and friends time either. So do when you're with your child, or you're with your partner, or you're with your husband, and you're doing stuff with them, try and make it as focused on them as they possibly can. If that means you have to have a separate phone that doesn't have email on it, doesn't have Facebook on it, and it's just people can call you, do that. It's not a bad thing for you to have a separate phone that you just switch SIM cards over and you move out, and you do have that conversation to create those boundaries, because sometimes it's so easy to keep falling into the trap of, I'll just check an email. Oh, good question. Juliet said, how many of us struggle while keeping the set hours? Would an accountability group be helpful? It most probably would be for a lot of people. It's not something I can take on, but if anyone's prepared to put their hands up and look at an accountability group for hours, that would be great. I most probably became a little bit stricter in my calendar. And what I'm going to give you guys today is a link to a freebie that I've got on my website called the Who Does What Planner. So you can start to look at who does what and what times in your business it needs to be done, and a few things like that. So hopefully that'll help you out as well with the accountability group if you want to do so. And I think somewhere along the lines, a little while ago, Clive and I did a time accountability, a time planner as well. So I'll go and see if I can find that one for you as an additional little freebie from today's Ask Live session. Keeping the set hours really does come down to, and this is most probably the best tip I can give you, is actually, if you have to leave the house, whether it's go for a walk around the block and come back. I've spoken to a number of clients about that. Sometimes it's the actual physically leaving the house, and the physically, leaving the workspace, and actually making a physical commitment to doing it. And, even setting alarms. I remember when Charlotte first went to school, I had to set alarms on my phone to remind me to go do pick up and drop off. So sometimes alarms are a really good way of dealing with that sort of stuff. So the boundaries are the next thing. So that's setting up your dedicated workspace, setting up your dedicated area to get out there, and then obviously talking to the people that you're working with, and making your work hours incredibly clear to your family and friends, and making your family time incredibly clear to your clients. Your clients don't know. If you don't make it clear, they don't know when they can and can't work with you as well. So I think it's really important to make things really clear to both sides, to your clients, that these are my hours that I'm working and available to you, and these are my family time, and it's non-negotiable, and that is time with my family. And if you're taking holidays, once again, take that holiday, take that break, and make the commitment to yourself that you're only going to check in on email or Facebook or social media maybe once or twice a day. Okay, multiple businesses is the next one, because I know that there's a number of our BBB members out there that run multiple businesses. I run multiple businesses, and how the heck do you cope with it? This was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. The more businesses, we have 5 in here. The more businesses we started to bring into the organisation, the more I started to keep trying to go between different areas. So what I had to do, and this is where the Who Does What Planner comes in, and information along those lines comes in, is and as I said, it's a freebie for you guys to download. I'll pop it into the links later. The thing is, it's about blocking out time and going into the mindset for one business. So whether it is a particular, I'm going into the mindset of BBB today in my case. So I'm going to, so today is normally our editing day for business. So I'll look at editing the magazine with the team. We'll look at what our marketing is going to be. We'll look at social media posts for that particular business today. I don't look for social media posts for everything. Hey, Robin. It's about managing that multiple business expectation that I'm going into BBB mode for that particular component of time. Now, I do have business, all of the businesses require a little bit out of me each day, and I'm not going to, I'm getting tongue-tied again. I'm not going to fudge that these businesses don't require something from me each day, but I go into business mode. And then I go into media connections mode, where we look at working on media connection stuff. Now, as a PR and marketer, I'm very good at compartmentalizing our multiple businesses into projects and clients, because if I treat the businesses as a client, I allocate time to them, I allocate the resources to them, I allocate people to them. And that's most probably one of the biggest things. But if you've got multiple businesses or multiple projects, break them up into time components so that you can go, okay, well, on Mondays, I'm really good at doing, and this is the other thing, you've got to pick the times that you're really good. I'm really good at editing on a Monday. If you'd ask me to edit last thing on a Friday afternoon, I'd be like, just want to go have a glass of wine. Don't ask me to edit. I'll talk to people, by all means, on a Friday. But editing is not my strong point on a Friday. So I'm good at getting organized and editing on a Monday. So looking at content, looking at social media, looking at future skills webinars, that's what works really well for me. So that's why BBB is a Monday day. From our client's point of view and our client's coaching points of view, I then choose the next 2 days of the week to work with clients. Okay, so my Tuesdays and my Wednesdays are my client time, and that's when I'm either running skills webinars for BBB, where I'm face-to-face made up talking to people, or I'm running a client workshop. So I might be talking about delivering a webinar, a face-to-face webinar, or I might be talking about, bear with me, I might be talking to a client, I might be coaching a client through their marketing or PR, or I might be looking at strategies. Wednesday, once again, is another coaching day for me. And then it's normally the Wednesday afternoon is blocked out into planning what workload that I've discussed with the clients over the last 2 days needs to be rolled out over the next couple of weeks. So it's about committing that blocking and that planning. Now, I use and love, we've just come back to using Trello. We use Trello and we set every project up, including all of our internal projects, including the business life planner that we're developing right now, developing right now. I'm actually thinking if I can get a copy of the 2018 version to show you. Actually, I will try and just give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to go quickly grab that copy. Okay, it was sitting beside me here. This is my other baby. Okay, this is my other thing about planning. So I also use this diary to plan out what our year is going to be like. It's a bit of a blank on this one, but I actually plan out the week ahead. And that week ahead planner is really, really huge for us. What's the focus for this week, and making that commitment and accountability to keep on time. And Juliet, actually, to answer your question, Clive is actually looking at running a planning and accountability program to go with the business life planner this year. So I might see if he can look at including some time management accountability on Facebook in that one as well. Hi, Clive, if you're watching. I think I just made you another job. And that's the other thing, guys. It's delegation. It's looking at who does what within the business, which is really, really cool. So as I said, I'll give you the who does what planner as well as those sorts of things. So then, as I said, so that's most probably going to keep covering off my week. Media connections does require an hour or so from me each day. So we look at PR angles, we look at who we've got to pitch out to, we look at all of those sorts of things. Now, that's the thing I tend to do over a cup of coffee in the first thing in the morning, because that's when the media are out looking for story ideas and looking for information. So I tend to do that in what I call my first couple of work hours, and I do like to be up early. I am an early bird, so I might do a 6 o'clock stint for an hour or so, or I'll just do it in an afternoon, in the lunch component of it. Then on Thursday and Friday, we look at writing our media alerts for the week for the Media Connections members to look at what they should be sharing with their stories out there. I might look at writing newsletters, and it's then writing my content and my course content from there. Mondays, I also, and I'm sorry, I should admit this, I meet with our accounts team, and I hear what the accounts report is for the week, what's happening with that one. And I also look with Family Capers, so we have a look at the Family Capers crew and see what they're doing. But Thursday and Friday is normally what I call my creative days. It's my blogging days, it's my video days, or it's my presenting face-to-face workshop days. Okay, so that covers the morning multiple business days, and it really is just a matter of chunking out, whether it's mornings or afternoons, bits of your calendar and bits of your time that are purely to those businesses, and try and not let the others filter in during that process. That's how I manage running multiple businesses. I need to go into the mindset for each organization, and I find that if I'm trying to, multiple directions, it starts to get a little bit confusing, and there's only so much this head can handle. So I hope that's answered your questions. If you've got any questions for me today about running multiple businesses, why you're here, or how to keep those boundaries in place, do ask them. I'm going to answer a couple more. and hopefully just grab another sip of water so that I don't lose my voice completely. And let you know just a couple of things from there. The other key component for me has most probably been sticking to that if you rob from 1 hour. So as I said to you at the very start of this Ask Linda live session, there is not going to be if I told you that you would be you know, that I don't work late, or I don't work weekends, or I don't work, you know, I don't break my rules occasionally, then I would be lying to you. And I'm pretty sure anyone who talks to you about time management and time things would say that, you know, they've had times in their business where they've needed to bend that rule. But if I'm robbing, so this week in particular, with the Small Business Skills Summit running for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I have worked weekends, I have worked incredibly late hours, and I've worked some long hours over the last period. So what happens is that on Thursday, my daughter and I are heading off for mummy and me time for 4 or 5 days in Melbourne, and I am giving back to the time and the weekends that I robbed from my family time to run the Small Business Skills Summit. So it's about putting in that real life examples about how you can manage your time better. So if you rob from business time for family time and business life for family life, then you need to sort of give a little bit back. And especially if you rob from family time for business, then you definitely need to give something back to that, and that could be the opportunity out there. Now, we all got into business because of the flexibility of it and because we don't want to be chained to our desk 24/7. So here's some key reminders I want to leave you with today. When you went to an office, no one expected you to be available 24/7. Same happens in the business world. You cannot and physically cannot be available 24/7 to your client. So set some work hours and let them know when you're available and when they can talk to you, and your non-negotiable family times. And remember to communicate that, because if people don't know it, they can't stick to it. Then set yourself some alarms if you have to on your work accountability hours, so that you know when you are, what you're doing. Use the Who Does What planner that I'll pop the link in, which is a freebie for you to start looking at who's doing what within your business and maybe what can be outsourced to free up a little bit more time. I know for me, using the right tools, using the right outsourcing abilities has really helped me. Things like Missing Letter to be able to program out our blog posts, and that has been phenomenally huge for us to being able to save time and, you know, equate to some automation and looking at staff, saving time with staff members. So set some alarms in your phone, set some boundaries for the work areas. If you have to literally physically walk around the block and change your mindset to I'm at work to I'm home, then do that. You know, it might look a bit weird to the neighbors, but if it's going to increase your productivity, take it on, do it, and get into that work mindset. And if you're running multiple businesses, do try and block out your time so that you're not trying to make your head go in 20 different directions, because it's just not sustainable. And try and block out time for different businesses and different projects along the way. I hope these tips have helped you. The other thing, as I said to you all, is definitely have a separate space to work from. And if it has to be in another room inside the house, try and cover it up or close the laptop lid or walk away from it each and every night, or even pack it away into a drawer so that there is a physical boundary between you and going back to work. Okay. If you've got a topic for next week, or for Ask Linda Live, not next week because I'm not going to be here, but if you've got a topic for Ask Linda Live, ask away. There is a link on my website. I'll pop it in so that you can ask questions, and I can come back and either ask it here or answer it and ask it on the YouTube channel. And by the way, if you haven't already, hit the little notifications button above and subscribe, because next time I'm live doing one of these, you'll know about it. Thanks for joining me, Robin. Thank you for the question inside your Facebook group. You asked it. I hope I've answered a little bit about how I manage and juggle those hours, and it literally is creating that physical walk in and out of work, and getting dressed for work, and going through that sort of stuff. And it's some of those mindset things that make the big difference. Have a great week, everyone. Happy Monday, and I'll see you around soon. Bye.